What is culture? The anthropological definition is that culture is made of any knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and any other capabilities acquired by man as a member of society. In some ways, our culture helps us to define who we are and where we come from. It is difficult to think of ourselves or of others without a cultural context. We can guess where someone is from according to the language they use, the way they dress, their accent, what they eat, and what they believe. But this can lead us to stereotypes. Stereotypes can come from miscommunication between people who experience different culture in a superficial way, in a colonial context, or more recently through representations in the media. Stereotypes are mental categories that help us make sense of the world in a simplified and easy-to-access manner.
What's some American stereotypes we have about the British?
Bad teeth.
Bad teeth? They have bad teeth.
Bad teeth is a common one.
Don't brush your teeth. Teeth crooked? I don't know.
They have bad teeth.
Them teeth, though. Them teeth, though.
What's some British stereotypes that they have about Americans?
There are a lot. English think Americans are stupid, dumb, they eat too much.
Loud, rude, wild.
Humor is very dry. I don't understand it. I would say condescending is another one.
That they don't like Americans.
They complain a lot.
Much more of an attitude about strangers.
Maybe a little bit stuck up and serious.
Their accents.
Their accents?
Yeah, and about getting fat. They just sit around and eat all day.
Like to eat a lot, overweight.
Arrogant.
Terrible accents. Jocks versus dweebs.
So like only two kinds of people, two categories?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Their accents.
Their accents?
Especially in girls.
Especially in girls?
It's a turn on, yeah.
Alright, anything else you love about the British?
No. I mean, don't like their teeth, love their accents, that's it.
Culture goes beyond stereotypes. We can live and experience our culture without thinking about it because it is an important part of our personality. We use our cultural baggage when we go to the supermarket and choose our groceries, when we greet people on the street or not, when we plan our Christmas dinner, our vacations, or when we redecorate our home. Because culture is such an important part of our personality, when we feel that somebody or something misinterprets, attacks, or makes fun of our culture, we can get pretty defensive and intolerant.
You are over-romanticizing America and also being shameful by not being proud of being a Canadian and all that it represents. Canada represents peace, unity, acceptance, and multiculturalism. Also, I don't know if you've been to Niagara Falls or Toronto on Canada Day, but it's a big celebration. Bitch, you forgot to mention Ottawa and Parliament on Canada Day. Damn! Gun violence and crime is higher in America, discrimination, disparity. Also, if shopping is a reason for you to change citizenship, then you need to consider yourself and your core values. I actually have not even read this comment yet. Really take a step back and think about Canada. Read about our history, our national identity, and how lucky we are to be born here. Don't be shallow. Canada is great. First of all, like I said, that video was literally just for shits and giggles. I don't actually wish I was American.
I know that you wanna be Canadian, please. Where else do you find mounted police or go to the hospital and not pay fees? I know that you wanna be Canadian, please.
Intolerance based on being really afraid of losing the purity of our culture. It is dangerous to social order and can lead to radicalization. We have seen some historic effects of radicalization based on intolerance to other cultures. It is in this point that we should be aware and critical of all information we receive through the media about other cultures in order to learn the difference between representation in media for entertainment and social criticism and representation for propaganda, hate speech, and radicalization of thought. These last kinds of representation try to guide the audience into thinking that purity of culture is real and is under constant attack.
Gypsies are not a religion. They are of various religions, in fact. They are not of any particular country. They sometimes speak in a common dialect, but often they don't. They're not a particular race. What they are, in fact, is a group of people with a certain lifestyle, people who make the same life choices, how to live, their codes of conduct, what we would call a culture. Gypsies are not a race or a religion or a nationality. They are a culture. And sorry to say it, one of the dominant traits of that culture is being thieves. These are not racial comments. No race does this. It is not a racial attribute to steal. It is a sick culture with an immoral code of living.
And he's going to start it. He's going to start it. I fear it. I feel it. I feel it coming on. And it ain't just me. It's just, it's going to be another war in this United States of America. If he gets elected back to office, it's going to happen. If he gets 4 more years, Barack Obama will ruin this country. And white people will be in concentration camps. And if you don't believe white people can't be in concentration camps, people are sadly mistaken.
I want to make sure I understand you. If the goal is white separatism, separating the races, the only way to separate the races is using violence. You're not going to be able to just say nicely, please leave.
If they will peacefully go, then yeah. But if they won't peacefully go, that's the only way, is through violence. It's through making them go. That's it.
And you'd be willing to be part of that. It's a race war you're talking about, essentially.
Very much so.
Hola, soy Samara. Soy Lolita. Me llamo Rosa. Tengo 8 años y lo que más me gusta es jugar con mis amigas, a papás y a mamás. Me gusta irme de vacaciones y si tuviera un barco me iría de viaje. A Hawái. A Miami. Lo que más me gusta es tomar helado. Pintarme las uñas.
Me gustaría estudiar Derecho.
Matemáticas, lengua, de todo. Y que me hagan todo esto para arriba.
Me gustaría que ahora cogieras el diccionario y buscaras la palabra gitano.
Diego, lo que pisa. ¿Con qué se escribe gitano? A ver, espera. Gitano.
Gitano.
Dicho de una persona de un pueblo
originario de la India. De egipciano, porque se creyó que procedían de Egipto.
5. Trapacero. Trapacero.
¿Sabes lo que quiere decir trapacero?
No.
Pues no.
No.
¿Puedes buscarla, por favor?
Trapacero.
Trapacero, trapacera.
Que emplea trapazas que con astucia, falsedades y mentiras
procura engañar a alguien de un asunto.
Los gitanos no hacemos eso, porque también otras personas pueden hacer eso. No me gusta que digan esto en el diccionario.
Me están insultando.
No me parece justo. Porque está diciendo una mentira esto.
Yo no soy trapacera.
Diccionario de la lengua española.
Damages.
Rivard. Michel Rivard.
Welcome, Mr. Beau Rivard.
Bon. En gros, je représente un petit festival de chansons et on est jumelé à un autre petit festival de chansons pour faire connaître nos chansons, mais en France. Alors, pour ça, on a besoin d'un peu d'argent.
Of course, you realize that you're going to represent Canadian culture.
C'est que mon collègue tente extrêmement d'expliquer. C'est que le gouvernement a un nouveau programme pour la culture de le patrimoine pour promouvoir le Canada à l'extérieur du pays. Et je crois que nous sommes très soucis sur ça. How do you say the concern?
Concern. Yeah. It's a très. Suceux. Très suceux.
That's right. Suceux du Canada.
Yeah.
Do you believe in God, Mr. Riven? Hopes he believes in you.
Crée-moi pas. Quelque part en Alaska, y a un phoque qui s'ennuie en maudit.
Sorry, sir.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a?
What did you say?
I think he said fuck.
Yes, I heard fuck.
Did you say fuck?
I heard the word fuck.
Non, j'ai pas dit fuck.
You said fuck, sir.
Who said fuck? Non, excusez. Non, mais j'ai pas dit fuck.
You said fuck again.
J'ai dit fuck, mais pas fuck, pas fuck.
Oh, please.
J'ai parlé de l'animal, le fuck.
Fuck, OK.
Enough! OK, je vais changer ma chanson Otari. OK? Des fois, on change juste quelques petites affaires.
Sorry? Did you say tits?
No.
You said tits.
He said tits.
That's outrageous.
J'ai jamais dit tit. Je disais petite. J'ai pas dit tit.
I'm sorry, but you said...
Je n'ai jamais dit tits.
You said tits.
No, fuck!
You said fuck. You just said fuck again.
Je disais petite affaire, small affairs.
A small affair. Oh, so what you're saying here is you're having a small affair with a woman other than your wife?
Non, j'ai pas d'affaires avec des femmes. C'est pas ça que
Are you a homosexual?
Non.
Next, please.
Chaque dollar investi dans l'industrie culturelle rapporte 11 fois plus son bénéfice direct ou indirect.
But where does our culture come from? Is it pure? Let's unpack that idea. We have to remember that geopolitical borders have largely been imposed by political leaders. During this process, there has always been a cultural exchange, sometimes imposed, such as with languages and religions following a military invasion, and sometimes accidental, such as in the case of technology and food, and sometimes, as in recent times, insidiously through hegemonic media practices. Think of giant media companies from the United States and their role in propagating Hollywood cultural ideals. Cultural purists have expressed concerns that these exchanges will lead to a universal human monoculture through postmodern globalization.
Peter Hitchens. Why a book called The Abolition of Britain?
Because it's important for two reasons. One, because Britain is a fantastically important country in the history of the world and in the history of democracy and liberty. And secondly, because here in the United States, I think people ought to be aware of the dangers to their own culture. Some people in Britain have wrongly accused me of anti-Americanism, which anybody who knows me knows is not the case, is that we took from America some of the bad things and not enough of the good things. Therefore, we tended to take the culture of a very big and a very unsettled country.
We cannot afford to lose our culture or our guiding principles. We cannot afford to lose the unity that comes from our shared values and sense of community. Compared to a financial balance sheet, a cultural balance sheet is almost impossible to restore once it is lost. So we have to take a stand. Otherwise, we risk going down the same path of some other Western nations.
So what's fascist and what's anti-fascist? In Europe today, if you think Christian civilization is worth protecting, is superior to Islam, and you're fighting against Islamization, you are a fascist.
Will globalization result in a single global culture? No, because culture shapes itself all the time. It transforms and mixes with other cultures in an organic way. It grows, matures, changes all the time, like regional cuisines and languages. It is good that globalization will not result in a single global culture. This is because culture is the lens through which we experience life. Different cultures equal different ways to resolve life's problems. A variety of cultures is an evolutionary advantage for humans. The problem comes when these cultural differences are used to create ideas of superiority or segregation. The difference between our cultural context today and the cultural context before the Industrial Revolution is that today, culture travels faster than before. Before the Industrial Revolution, some cultural elements from other countries used to arrive in different places, slowly, and brought in by explorers or merchants at great risk and in low quantities, making them more appreciated, especially when introduced by an in-group member.
I'm proud to be
Chinese because I like the fact that my parents were able to teach me ancient wisdom from China that I still am able to use today.
Well, I'm proud to be Chinese because we invented everything. We invented paper, and we invented the writing on paper, well, printing on paper, and aside from paper, we invented toilet paper, which is, I feel like, is a very important part of my life now. Soy milk, dim sum, Peking duck. So if it's raining, which it actually is today, we invented umbrellas. So we actually invented the waterproof coating on the umbrella to make the umbrella useful in the rain. And besides from that, you know when you have like this beautiful scarf, it's all silky and nice. We invented the silk. Okay, we didn't invent silk, but we discovered silk and then we invented silk, I guess. Noodles, soup dumplings, 酸菜, 皮蛋, fireworks. Every year when you celebrate the new year, you can thank the Chinese people because we invented that.
For example, take Italy. When we think about Italy, one of the first things that might come to mind is their food. Their delicious pasta in all different shapes and colors, tomato sauce, basil and oregano, eggplant, cheese, espresso coffee, and polenta. All these are considered traditional Italian cuisine. But where did all of these ingredients come from? Tomatoes, corn, zucchini, and potatoes all came from America. Noodles and pasta came from China. Eggplant is from India, and coffee is from Ethiopia. Olives came from Mesopotamia. So what we know today as Italian cuisine comes from all kinds of different cultures around the world. But how did this happen? We have to remember that Italy used to be known for its famous merchants who used the Mediterranean and the Silk Road to import different products. All of these were introduced by native Europeans, which helped the ingredients be accepted. Similar situations have happened all over the world and continue happening today. Also, notice that many other countries, such as India, also use the same ingredients, but that doesn't mean that their cuisine is the same. That's how each culture interprets, with their own cultural baggage, individual ingredients to enrich the culinary art around the world. Sharing our ingredients has not led to a world food monoculture. The real threat to food when we talk about globalization is not individuals eating and sharing ingredients across borders. What really threatens food culture are corporations that invade markets with food that is not nutritious to replace the traditional diets and the rituals of cooking at home. Culture should not be imposed top-down. It should be shared with respect and with an informed opinion, especially when it comes to traditions that we cannot understand. For example, different foods, animal rights, dress codes, body modifications, and social hierarchies and structures. Because a misjudgment of somebody's different culture based on our own cultural morals leads to racism, injustice, and cultural genocide. Culture needs to be able to flow and breathe freely between groups through ideas, education, and informed opinions in order to continue enriching itself through variety.